Trantifa strikes again. Last night we spoke at great length with investigative journalist Andy Ngo about the alleged trans terror cell that may be linked to several homicides, including that of the CBP officer killed in Vermont on President Trump's inauguration day. And now tonight we're learning that the suspect arrested on Monday around the time of the now Treasury Secretary's confirmation hearing is likewise perhaps a Trantifa militant, with Trantifa being a combination of trans and Antifa. Andy Ngo reports today that Ryan Michael, or Riley J in English, is the Trantifa militant who's being federally charged for trying to kill members of President Trump's cabinet and for wanting to burn down a conservative think tank. In the charging documents, these targets are identified as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, House Speaker Mike Johnson, and the Heritage Foundation. The 24-year-old man from Massachusetts, who was referred to in court filings as a she, left his phone at home so that he could not be tracked on his way to the Capitol. He brought along Molotov cocktails and bomb-making equipment, as well as a folding knife and lighter. While surveying the U.S. Capitol and how best to carry out his alleged plan, he realized that Scott Bessent was present for his hearing, and so the suspect allegedly changed course to zero in on the now Treasury Secretary. Despite later claiming that he was prepared to die of suicide by cop at the end of his planned murder spree, at some point the suspect decided to give himself up and turn himself over to U.S. Capitol Police. He allegedly confessed to being inspired by the reaction provoked by Luigi Mangione, the suspect in the slaying of the United Healthcare CEO. He also accused his targets of being Nazis, how original, and of being complicit in the killings of his quote-unquote sisters, who I take it to mean trans women because that's the lie the left always propagates. That was written on the back of a receipt found in the suspect's pocket in what appears to be a confession letter and an apology to someone named Judith explaining his actions. These sorts of radical trans militants are the types who are terminally online, running forums and pages and commenting constantly on all things trans or making everything about trans. It's the online web these unstable and oftentimes murderous adults weave, which catch young people and even children in them. Kids want meaning, belonging, a righteous struggle to fight against, and adults who show them the way towards supposed happiness, the key to life. The trans predators know this well, and they play on those vulnerabilities, creating one of the largest social contagions we've ever seen and perhaps the most damaging we've seen. President Trump is doing his best to rectify the situation by federally endorsing the truth of there only being two genders, which are present from conception and which cannot change. He's also signing an executive order which bars federal dollars from going toward sex change procedures for anyone under the age of 19. And now Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri is putting forward legislation to allow lawsuits to be filed against doctors and pediatric clinics which perform sex change procedures and operations on minors, which have led to damages. These changes and more, which seemed unthinkable just a year ago, are a massive boon to suffering parents like my first guest tonight. So joining us now to discuss is Jeff Younger, the father of James Younger. Jeff, thanks for being here tonight.
Hi, thanks.
Great. So you've publicly thanked President Trump for his recent executive orders on the trans issue, saying that it perhaps has saved your son or that it could save your son. So for those in the audience who are unaware of your story, can you explain for us what you mean by that?
Well, at 3 years of age, my ex-wife, who's a pediatrician, began to transition my son to a girl. I went through a lengthy period of litigation where I tried to stop her from chemically castrating my son. She worked with a pediatrician in Flower Mound, Texas, to chemically castrate him at age 8 or 9. The schools in Capel, Texas, secretly transitioned him behind my back. I would take him to school in boys' clothes. The teacher would give him a dress and tell him to use the girls' bathroom. And this went on for years. We had a trial in 2019 in Texas where the top transgender experts in the world showed up at this little Texas courtroom. I won that trial. I got 50-50 custody and a control on all the medical procedures on my sons. The Dallas County judges, which are very liberal, voted to move my case into another court with a judge who had a gender-expansive daughter. And that judge systematically stripped me of all parental rights and eventually allowed my ex-wife to move to California. And my son was chemically castrated in December. I went all the way up to the Texas Supreme Court, and even the so-called conservative Texas Supreme Court let her move. So I've been looking for ways to delay this and ways to, my son's just now on puberty blockers. So there's not any permanent damage. And Trump's executive order provides a lot of ammunition for me to go back and get this stuff delayed.